Hey everyone, this is the second video of why you're not getting called back when you apply to a job. You don't have to watch these in any order, but there is another video that's already covering one of these topics. So in the previous video, we talked about you may not be getting a call back because you're applying to a company that doesn't value what you bring to the table. And I explained that in the video, but what I mean by that is if you are someone that's bringing in international experience, that's a huge asset. If you bring diversity to the table, different languages, being a parent, there's a lot of research that parents, especially moms, are very, very good with their time and very productive. And so there are companies that in a lot of ways weed these people out. And I really don't want you guys to get discouraged by that. So check out that last video. And today we're going to talk about sometimes you may not be getting called back because you're simply applying to companies and positions where there are so many resumes. It's not that someone didn't like your resume, it's that they never even looked at it. So let's talk about that. I'm based here in Seattle, and in Seattle it's very popular to apply to both Microsoft and to Amazon. And those are two companies that for certain roles especially get tons and tons and tons of resumes. Having worked at Microsoft, I have more experience there in saying that it is very difficult to get that first call. My favorite thing to say, having worked at Microsoft on two different occasions, is the best qualification for working at Microsoft is previous experience at Microsoft. And I'll give you a really good example. So at my first role there, I had a guy who'd been at Microsoft for a really long time, and he'd been there as a full-time employee. And he left, and he said that when he was coming back, he assumed that because he had worked there before, that he could just apply online. And he said he didn't get any callbacks. So he had to look through the referral system in order to do it. So that's a really good example of someone who was completely qualified and had the experience of that culture and still had a hard time getting a call back. So try not to be discouraged if this happens to you. What can you do about this? Well, you can take a page from my friend's book, and if you want to apply to a place like Microsoft or Amazon or whatever it is in your city that is the big company that is probably taking applications from all over the country, maybe all over in the world, the best way to go about this is to get a referral. So keep in mind with the referrals that you want to first locate the referral and often send your resume to that person. It is many times the systems they use advantageous to go through that person prior to applying online. If you apply online first, there's two things that can happen. One, that person may not be able to refer you anymore, as in they can, but they may not get their referral bonus, which really de-incentivizes them to help you out and just spend their time, right? Because their time is important. The second thing that might happen is if you apply online first, sometimes the referral won't take in the system. This actually has happened to me before. So keep in mind that your first way in is you want to find the referral. Of course, if you've applied to a job online and you're not hearing back, it's not a bad idea to see if then you can get a referral. Sometimes there are ways around it. And you can through LinkedIn, if you have their premium, you can contact recruiters. I haven't found that recruiters are very responsive to people they're not connected with and don't have a connection to. So if you can't find someone that works at the company, see if you can find someone who knows someone who works at the company. And often they're happy to refer you. If you have those friends that are willing to help out, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to help. They'll often facilitate the introduction, and sometimes someone will even take and sit down with you for 30 minutes, get to know you a little bit, and then refer you based on that informational interview. So if you are applying to those, I highly recommend that you get a referral. If you're someone who is moved from another country to the US, or you're trying to switch the type of work you're doing, I believe there's even a better way to go about this. I think it's more advantageous for you to work at a small company first. So the reason I really like this, and this is partially through personal experience, is that if you work at a small company, you often have the opportunity to do a lot of different things. So what that allows you to do is, A, when you're in a smaller company and you're doing these different things, You get to know a lot of different people. Those people can serve as sponsors to you later when you're looking at a promotion or write amazing letters of recommendation. You get a chance to try areas that may lead to your, what is it that you're really passionate about? What's going to help you stand out? You may find that there's something a little bit different than the role you're working in, or that you have a specialization area that you didn't know you were good at. And by working at that company, you're going to get more experience. In general, you're also just going to get to do more things, which gives you more power when you're going to that next job. And when the company grows, you're more likely to get a promotion, and it's easier if you want to do an internal transfer. When I worked at a startup that started with I was there when there were about 150 people. Obviously, it started with much fewer than that. But when I started with 150 people, seeing the growth, seeing how many people were promoted in the 3 years I was there, I saw many people promoted twice. I was promoted twice, and how many people switched departments and often got a raise or a promotion by switching departments, it was remarkable. So that turned out to be an incredible experience. And in fact, my mentor at a big company encouraged me to go to a small company at that point in my career because she said it would allow me to really have a lot of choices when I left. And that turned out to absolutely be true. So I would highly encourage you to start with a small company. I think it's really, really advantageous in the type of experience you get that's going to allow you to have so much power when you're trying to decide what you want to do next after that. And then, of course, the third option is you can go to work. This can help you get into the larger companies as a vendor. So companies like Microsoft, Amazon, I know 3M does this. They hire people on contract for sometimes 6 months, a year at a time. And those people are employees in a way, but it's through that third party. So that's often a great way to get your foot in the door. If your dream company does this, you can start there, really get to know, make contacts at that larger company. And this is also just a really good way to get a job if you haven't been able to find other things. Often you can put yourself in with many consulting companies, contracting companies, and they can always kind of keep a lookout for your skill set. So sometimes they'll take you on before they even place you, and then you have someone helping to place you if you can really sell them on the fact that you're an asset to their company. So in review, the 3 things you can do if you're applying to a company and you think maybe your resume is not even getting looked at is get a referral. If it's one of those big companies, that works great in small companies too. Go to work for a smaller company so you can get lots of different types of experience, and it's a great way to often get a promotion if you work really hard. And the third way is to go to work for a vendor consulting company. Through that, you can also go to work for temp agencies, but I encourage you to look for a company that's going to allow you to do the type of work you want and start there first. Really, the moral of the story in all 3 of the videos in these series, you guys, is not to get discouraged. I hope to be releasing a video with a story of a friend of mine, and she moved from another country and she has quite the story about getting another job. But what stuck out to me in interviewing her was that she applied to 100 jobs. She got, I believe, between 10 and 20 recruiter interviews, and then that resulted in 2 jobs. And the first one, there was a big layoff and the whole team closed down. So she experienced so many challenges, and she really had to cast a very wide net and apply to lots of jobs. So it's going to be true for you too. And every time that you put yourself in for a job, every time you have a recruiter interview, whether it works out or not, that's practice and you're one step closer. So just keep at it. One of the hardest parts of the job hunt is just remembering not to feel rejected because you don't even know if someone looked at your resume. But hopefully these tips will help you figure out maybe a different way to approach your strategy. So there is one more video coming out next week, and that's going to be on your online presence. I know you think you've heard a lot about this, but my clients keep coming to me and there's things that they are definitely forgetting on this. So I'd highly encourage you to watch that video. As always, I'd love for you guys to subscribe. I'd love to see those subscribers out there. You'll be notified of the new videos as they come out with the tips. So subscribe to this channel and tune in next week for the video on your online presence.